And listen, the Titans have the number one overall pick Sunday with the loss to Houston. I thought that that's good. That's a good thing. A lot of people don't. Listen, the draft is hope, folks. The draft is hope. All right. Look at this time last year. It seemed like there was no hope for Denver last year. All right. A few years ago, no hope was an understatement for the Cincinnati Bengals when they got the number one pick. They got Joe Burrow. They're not in the playoffs now, but they were in the Super Bowl 2 years later. If not for that crappy owner, by the way, who they fired, they used Lou Anarumo, one of the hottest coordinators in the league 3 years ago, used him for a scapegoat, fired him today. But the draft equals hope. If you get that quarterback right, look at the combination down there and up there in the D.C., Maryland area with Cliff Kingsbury and, of course, Jalen Daniels here. They look like a train wreck, and now they're back in the playoffs here and got a shot to go down there and knock out the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and get the win there. So, listen. So, Tennessee, to get the first overall pick here with a little help from the Pats knocking out the Bills. Brian Callahan spoke today with speculation he may be done after one season. I think he's going to be okay. There's also been other speculation that general manager Ran Carthon may get fired. Now, I've heard some of the criticisms. There's a local radio guy here that's been on, this young guy. He's really trying to be somewhat of a contrarian and pound Carthon in the ground, saying he don't know what he's doing and whatnot. But if you look at this Titans team, you look at was it J.C. Latham there at the right tackle there? I think he was a hit. I think the second round, Javondre Sweat, he's such a hit at defensive tackle, their second round pick this past year, that I think that they can move off that $20-something million cap hit that they're getting from Jeffrey Simmons after re-signing him a few years back. The defensive tackle who's playing at a Pro Bowl level like nobody's business. They can move off him and get a pretty high first-round pick for Simmons and build around Javondre Sweat, who's on a rookie deal, in my opinion. You know, they got them kind of options there. So Carthon, listen, and I'll ask Rich about this tomorrow. He says that Will Levis was part of the other general managers, the other GMs pick there. Did he really? Who was it? Vrabel pushed for him. I forgot the other guy's name now, but it makes never mind. So Carthon this past year was his true draft here. Listen, the Tennessee Titans were second. I just checked this today. They're second in yards allowed on defense in the NFL. So that tells you how bad the quarterback position was. And I said before, I've said it weeks ago, they need to get a new special teams coach. Brian Callahan, now I'm going to give him a few days, maybe even a week, but he's got to make some changes on that staff. Mentioned Dan Campbell. They were getting thrown on like nobody's business a year and a half ago. Campbell fired that secondary coach. I thought he was going to move off Glenn, but they started gradually getting better there in Detroit. So I do think special teams coach, there are linebacker coach, too many missed tackles there. Got to move off the linebacker. I wouldn't move off the whole defensive coordinator, but the defensive coordinator, because of that second in yards allowed, that's a big deal. But they're like 30th in points allowed. You know, a lot of that is Will Levis, the quarterback position. Check these numbers out, folks. 13 touchdowns to 12 interceptions for Will Levis, 10 fumbles. Here's the big kicker about Will Levis. That's in 12 games, folks. Yes, you heard that. That's in 12 games start. Remember, he had 5 started for Mason Rudolph, and Rudolph wasn't that much better, but Will Levis, first year as a starter, 13 touchdowns, 12 interceptions, 12 fumbles. That's 22. That's 22 turnovers in 12 games. 22, that's 2 a game. You're cutting your chances in half statistically with that. All these people say this team's bad, they're a disaster, they're this and that. You get the quarterback right, and all that washes away. All that goes away.